and thank you for joining us for Ambition to Achievement Goal Setting Networks. At this time, I'll turn it over to our presenter, Joanne Ariaku, for today's presentation.
Thank you, Lexi, and Happy New Year, everyone. It is the very first NDI webinar masterclass of the year, and I would just like to welcome you all and wish you not just a happy new year for you as a person, but also for your business. May your business have a happy new year. That is why we are having this discussion today. My name is Joanne Ariaku, and I am a chief consultant at Oparos Consulting. And we do a number of things, but everything that we do has to do with guiding entrepreneurs, businesses, from a place where they are to where they need to be, whether that means in terms of they are starting as a business, they're still really small and they want to get profitable, or maybe they're already profitable and they're really looking to see how to scale or how to expand. Whatever it is, that's what Oparos Consulting does. And some of the work which we've done is with the venture operating system, which is basically a framework. I do a lot of frameworks. You're going to notice a lot of that as we keep talking. So the venture operating system is the framework for entrepreneurs to really take them from concept all the way to profitability. And I am a serial entrepreneur. I have been having businesses from the age of 11. Yes, like literal money-making enterprises from the age of 11. I didn't know at the time that that's what it was called. I thought I was just having fun. But here we are. So we're absolutely not here to talk about me. We are here to help you go from a place of how do we actually move our goals, our dreams, our ambitions from a place of it's a dream to the place of it is an actual reality, like actually bringing the actual dream or the goal or the ambition to come to pass. Many of us set goals usually at the beginning of the year or usually at the end of the year when we're thinking, you know what, for the following year, I really want to do this. And some of those goals are personal goals. Some of those goals are business goals. Regardless, this is sort of like a really great framework to get you there. Now, today's journey, as you can see, is going to start by really setting foundational context about what it is that actually causes most goals, dreams, or accomplishments to not come to pass, really understanding what are those key main factors that cause us to not actually actualize our dreams. And then we're going to go into how to actually move from, you have an ambition to the point of actually bringing it to fruition. And then if time allows, or depending on how brave you are, we might be able to actually go into a live demonstration with one of you, or we will go straight into questions. Either way, the third part is either it's demonstration with live with one of you, or it is a question. Okay, that's our journey for today. Please feel free to put your questions in the chat. I will not be able to see them, but we have our trusted colleagues from NDI who will be able to prompt me when I need to stop if I'm talking too fast or if I am just getting too excited and forgetting that you are here to learn. Okay, so what is it? What is I call it the ambition trap. What is it which causes us to just dream, and not actually get to a point of reality or actualization, okay? So I would like to hear from you. If you can put this in the chat, please do, because I have my ideas. I want to be sure that you are represented in this. So if anybody has any thoughts, you must, unless you're like perfect, almost all of us have been in a situation where we set a goal, we set an ambition, and we didn't achieve it. Could you please put in the chat what you think that reason is? And I'm going to let my trusted colleague in NDI read out for me any questions that responses that come in that I might miss. Okay, let me wait and see your answers. Lack of information. Cheryl says lack of information. Okay. Too big of a goal. Nina says too big of a goal, not enough small steps. Pauline, get lost in the day-to-day tasks and lose momentum. Or maybe it was not an interesting goal. Lack of focus on the small goals. Consistency. Oh, they're coming in. They're coming in. I'm probably not reading them all. Not enough support built in to follow through. Melissa. The task may be time-consuming. Ebony. Lack of experience. Okay, Ronald, that means, yes, you're right. It could be that you're setting a goal of which you actually don't have the skill set. Okay, so this is good. You actually are speaking. You can run this webinar. I can officially go. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But this is very good. So all of you are actually speaking from a place of experience. Lack of knowledge, not focusing, losing motivation. Yes, that's Chana. And then EE, struggling with accurate assessment of resources and the strategy required. Brilliant. All of you have experience with this. Now, our hope really is that by the end of this webinar, this masterclass, that you can actually take what the snippets of knowledge that you've got here and be able to apply them in your business so that if, let's say, 50% of the time you are not achieving your goals, let's bring that percentage down to maybe 10%, okay? Because not everything may go all the way through, but our hope is really that you can be able to actualize the content that you are learning here, okay? All right, so let's go there. There are three main reasons why we do not go from a place of ambition to actually achieving our ambitions. This is the ambition trap. All these three form what we call the ambition trap. And in your comments, a lot of what you shared is actually resonating with this. So the first is really focusing on outcomes without understanding what it's going to take to actually get there, okay? That happens a lot. And throughout this webinar, you can keep putting in the chat if you have any examples to that effect. So that number one is the big one. It's usually the one where it's very easy to dream. That's one of the favorite things that a lot of us love to do, which is just to, dream about the grass being green on the other side, but not really thinking about what it takes to go from that thought to what it's actually going to take to put it into action. So that is number one. So not understanding the inputs. Number two is, and somebody did put that in the chat, lacking the actual resources or the structure to bring it to actualization, okay? They're not aligned. So your goal and your actual systems that you actually have might not be aligned. And we are going to go through a couple of examples as we keep talking. I just wanted to give you upfront what the ambition trap is. And then finally, and thirdly, is really thinking that doing a lot of activity is actually you being productive. That is rarely the case. Activity in itself is a good metric if you really just want to be, just physically active or just showing that you're active. But if you actually want to lead to actual outcomes, usually pausing and thinking deeper needs to be a part of the mix, because you might find yourself doing actually more than you need to be doing, and if anything, going off course. But let's go deeper. Let's go deeper into each of these three. But just so you know, these are the three that form the ambition trap, okay, as we have coined it. So let's start with the first one. Focusing on the outcomes without understanding inputs. Does anybody have any specific story, if you're brave enough, to actually put it in the chat, where you're actually thinking more in terms of, oh, this is the outcome that I seek? Because I'm going to guess most of you are either business owners or are planning on having a business. I would like to see preferably business-related examples, if there are any, on, do you remember a time when you focused purely on an outcome, a business outcome, and you really did not understand what inputs were required for you to be able to get there? I have an example for you, but I want to see yours first. So I'm going to pause a little bit and see if anybody is able to put anything in the chat. Yes, this is going to be a very interactive session, because this is about us learning and not about me teaching. Okay. All right. No brave souls yet, right? Oh, I see a brave soul has put something in there. Let's see. Okay. Oh, no, somebody said yes. Ronald, you said yes, but you did not put the example. Thank you, Ronald. Okay, I will assume that I will start, and if anybody still wants to put it in, I will put it. So, to everyone who has a business or who's about to start a business, all of us, every business is an experiment. We rarely know the true inputs which are going to be required of us at the end of the day. Oh, sorry, I can see here in the chat, I see Pauline says, growing a culinary program for people with disabilities. Getting worried about how to get to opening a restaurant. Okay. And then Ronald, I had a good idea, but no way of knowing how to bring it to a business. Great. Exactly. Actually, you're saying it as it is. Literally, these business examples are exactly what I am trying to say. Almost every business is an experiment. We know the outcome that we seek. Usually the outcome might be economic, like, we're really looking for financial freedom, or maybe the outcome is just, most of our outcomes are financial, to be very honest. Some of us, it's really about impact, social impact. EE says, I have a business idea and skills that are related, but it has a radically different field of expertise needed, or so you believe. I believe I need much more official education. Okay, thank you for being honest, EE. Paige, end result I want is a brain injury community, yes. And the function, that's impact, that's social impact. And functional medicine provider directory. Don't know how to get there business-wise. All right, so this is good. So we all have examples of this. Now, I would like to tell us this. Number one, it is not bad to actually have an ambition and not know how to accomplish it, not understanding the inputs, okay? What is not honorable is knowing that you don't know the inputs and not actually going to educate yourself or to seek somebody who knows better than you, so that you can learn and know what is going to be needed of you, okay? So I just want you to know, all of us, every business owner, everybody planning on doing a business, you've seen it even in the chat, we do usually are in this space where we're thinking in terms of an ambition, and it's rare that we actually have a full understanding of the input required of us. That's fine. What's not fine is if you leave it at that, where that's what you'd like to accomplish. All right, great. How do you get to understand the inputs which are required of you? And you can keep, throughout this webinar, you can keep putting your thoughts in the chat. Like, where do you get those inputs? Do you go to a library? Where we used to go to physical libraries, then the internet came. So maybe you will go online. But then that's usually a lot of work because you have to sift through a lot of files before you find the right one. And sometimes maybe it's not vetted. So maybe that's good just for initial high-level thinking. But then if you really want to get more laser-focused understanding, maybe it's better to actually find somebody who's been there, somebody who's done it before and who has more knowledge. We call those mentors. That is the literal definition of a mentor. Or you can study it. You can go to school for it, you know? So these are some of the options. So ambition trap number one is over-focusing just only on the outcome, only on the outcome, only on the outcome, and forgetting that now you need to think about how to get those inputs into action, okay? So here is an example. It's a fairly complex image. Allow me to talk through it slowly, bit by bit. We start at the top, okay? I'm going to assume all of you are either in a business or are planning on starting a business or know someone who wants to get good at business. So we start at the top. If you would like to double your monthly sales, okay, that's the outcome that you're looking for. That's a beautiful outcome. A lot of us have it. Heck, I would like to double my monthly sales too. I really would. Everyone would, right? But okay, good goal, good plan. You probably made it December 31st, 2024. Okay. We're now in 2025. How am I going to bring that into action? Okay. So I would like you to see the progression from the outcome. The outcome is like the big mega, is sort of like the highest level of abstraction is the outcome. Okay. Now, usually, in order to get there, you have to think from the very bottom. So we started at the top. That's the outcome you seek. Okay. Now go straight to the very bottom. As you notice, this arrow is dual-sided, okay? Double-sided. Go to the very bottom and say, okay, in order to get there, how do I get there? Some people go straight to the bottom and they go straight to, okay, I think I need to reach more people. How do I reach more people? I reach more people by maybe it's creating more content. This is just one example. Maybe it's going to more networking activities. Whatever it is, you're going to notice that there's a progression from outcome, which is the big major level, all the way down to the most minute, tiny thing that is required of you to eventually get there, okay? But for the purposes of the way in which this document looks right now, I mean, this image looks right now, let's go level by level down. So the big outcome is double your monthly sales. All right, how are you going to get there? For this particular business, that means they need more conversions or more leads, meaning a bigger funnel, okay? We call those outputs. Those are not outcomes. Those are outputs, okay? Which is like a mini outcome, okay? An output is like a less impactful outcome. So we just call it an output. Now, how do we get to more leads and more conversions? Okay, we go one level lower. That means we need to either, in the case of this example, run more ads if you have the money. And if you do not have the money to run more ads, maybe you need to run more webinars, or maybe you need to, optimize your website content, because you might want to double your monthly sales, but your website honestly looks like it's from 1980, or there's a client whom I had, whose website, she's brilliant, she's very talented, and so because of that, her mind is always running at 1,000 kilometers per hour. Oh, miles, sorry. I am from a part of the world where we say it in kilometers. My apologies. I will say it in miles, 1,000 miles an hour, okay? And so with that, she thrummed everything onto her website, and it just looked like chaos. Chaos is the best word that I can bring up for really what it looked like, okay? And so for her, in her case, it was going to be very difficult for anybody to become a client, which we call a conversion, because they just get so confused and they just give up. People don't want to read too much these days, you know? And so in her case, the activity which she needed to do was to optimize her website. No matter how many email campaigns she would be involved in, they would all lead to her website. And once people land on her website was basically not doing anything for her. It wasn't leading to any conversions or leads, okay? Now, how do you, in the case of this example, run ads or optimize your website? Well, number one, it would be really good if we have some sort of engaging content that runs, because running an empty ad is not as effective as if you have content within there. Usually, stories do more sales than ads, you know? So maybe you need engaging content. Maybe you need a CRM. Like maybe you actually do have a good number of people coming to your website, but because you're not able to track them, because you don't have a proper tracking system or a CRM, you're losing out on being able to reach out to people with the appropriate content. Or maybe you need to train your team or yourself. Team could be you on your own, or it could be your staff members if you have any. Because if you want to sell more, maybe your language needs to change. Maybe you're talking too much about your features and not the benefits of your product, you know? So just training in that in and of itself can get you somewhere. So those are inputs at the most bottom level. Those CRM, team sales, training, that's like the ingredients, okay? Like if I am to be very, if this was to be a chart on if the outcome that you're looking to achieve is to make, what's the most delicious thing I've tasted of late? Oh, now you're going to, no, I'm not going to say the one that I've tasted. Okay, I'm just going to say maybe you want to make paella, okay? That's the outcome. You want to make paella. How are you going to get there? Well, nice thought to be eating paella, but what do you need? You know, I'm not going to burden you to put this in the chat, but you do have some ingredients that you need to get, right? So the inputs are your ingredients. You know, you're going to need rice, you're going to need, I don't know, what else do you put in your paella? You put onions, you're going to need tomatoes, whatever it is you put in it. I've never made a paella, okay? I'm just dreaming of it. So I am an example of myself. So I need to get the ingredients, right? Right. But I also need some training on exactly how exactly I'm going to make it. Then I need to get involved in some activities. I need to buy the equipment that I'm going to need, right? I'm going to have to assemble it here in my kitchen. And then I'm going to have to put it all together, cook. I'm going to have to actually cook, okay? I'm going to have to put it in the oven, okay? I'm going to have to put it all together. So all those things are leading to eventually, at the end of the day, the outcome is, paella, okay? So, sorry, that was a terrible example, but I needed to share that with you. Let me check the chat in case anybody has put anything that I need to. What is a CRM? Wonderful. Greg, thank you. And I apologize for using acronyms, assuming that everybody is in my brain. My apologies. A CRM is a customer relationship management system. So examples of CRM are like HubSpot, Salesforce, Zoho, what all those systems do. And I'm not advocating for any one over another. I'm just giving you examples of names of the major ones that are there. What they do is every time that somebody either subscribes to your newsletter, or whatever it is that they do something on your website they respond to a particular call to action, any call to action, okay? They get added onto the CRM, the customer relationship management platform, okay? So you'll have it permanently on your system where you can say, okay, Greg came in through the webinar, and the call to action, he downloaded this particular resource from my website. So you're able to see the things which Greg is looking for most. And you use that information to better serve Greg, so that you're not just sending Greg everything that you have. You know, you're more targeted on how you are relating with him, okay? Maybe it's a retail website. Maybe your services are actual retail where somebody buys from you. Every time you go and you make an account on Amazon or Target or any of those, you get added to their relationship management system, so they can continue to manage the relationship that they have with you. That is what a CRM is, okay? Thank you for asking that question, Greg. And please, anyone, in case I say anything else that is a little out there, please stop me. You are going to have access to this deck, okay? So I'm not going to read every single one of these examples, but right here, I've taken that reverse pyramid that we had up there, and I have laid it out here in a table format. So you always start at the left side, where the outcome is, okay? That's the main thing which you want to do. If anyone over here has been trying to attain some sort of certification, okay? I'm going to use that as an example because that's a really big thing for a lot of smaller businesses. There are steps to get you there. You can dream about it, but if you actually do not put some of these steps into action, you may actually not get there. So in this case, the output would be, okay, I need to submit particular documents to particular certifying authority in order to be able to get certified. Okay, a step lower to that is the activities. Okay, what are those documents? So the activities are you're researching the requirements, you're collecting the necessary documentation as an example of some of the activities. Okay, so then the lowest level of thing that is required of you is the inputs. What are those inputs that you're going to need in order to actually start researching with some knowledge? Maybe you need to talk to someone. In this case, maybe you need to get guidance from someone who's done it before, or maybe you just need to sit down and have a good old ChatGPT or Google search to understand some of the things. So this is purely a pure example of some of the ambitions which you may have, whether big or small. You can do this exercise for anything. It can even be in your personal life. I'm just giving you the business examples because, you know, I have to stay on brand. But you understand the point, okay? You get the point. Going to
Joanne, before you move, Joanne, this is Nikki. Before you move forward, somebody wanted to have some clarification on when you're using the term call to action. What clarification on what you mean by that?
What is that? Okay. So thank you for that, Nikki. Yeah, I've just seen EE's question. So a call to action is, and it literally is, what do you want the person to do, the action that you want them to take, whether that person is a client or a potential client, because all of us are getting into business for a particular reason. Nobody is getting into business without any particular expectations, right? So you have expectations. So depending upon what your expectations are, it usually involves an action from your client or your potential client. So I'm going to give you an example. If you have a store which maybe has jewelry, you really want people to buy that jewelry. So the call to action is click on this button to purchase. It literally is you're calling them to act. That's why they call it a call to action, okay? CTA is how it is abbreviated sometimes. So that is an example of a call to action. You actually want them to perform a particular action. In this case, click the buy button. A lot of websites have a lot of, I'm going to say annoying because sometimes it does get annoying, um, um, like banners or just these things that just come and they interrupt you. Like maybe you are reading very nicely and then this thing just comes and it wants you to do something. Usually that thing that it wants you to do is a call to action, meaning a call to take a particular action, whether it is subscribe, or it can also be buy, or it can also be like, you know, all those are call to action. So I hope that helps you understand what a call to action is. And I like that you are asking me questions. This is very good. I do not like talking to myself, to be very honest. Okay, so with that, let's move on to number 2. So number 1 was lack of understanding of the inputs required. Number 2, they may be construed as similar, but they absolutely are not. Number 2 is lack of alignment with the resources or the systems or the structures that you have in place. So number 1 speaks really more to you really don't know what you don't know, you know? And so the actions that you're taking in number 1 are really about getting to the place of understanding the inputs which are going to be required of you. Number 2 now really speaks to, all right, now that you know what is needed of you, you are this ambition that you have, this goal that you have, is it in alignment? Can it be aligned, or can it be, I'm using the word aligned because any other words are fairly out of the regular English dictionary. I wanted to say commensurate, but I'm going to guess that's a very big word to use. So let's use the word alignment, okay? If you want to accomplish this particular goal, do you have the resources? And resources can mean, it can mean physical resources. Maybe you need physical strength, okay? Let's pick an example of a physical example, the marathon. You want to run the marathon, okay? That's your big goal. But you have never lifted, you've never lifted the 5-pound weight, you know, the weights in a, you've never lifted that. Like you don't have the stamina. So physically, your body is not set up to actually be able to be aligned to that goal of running the marathon next week. You could run it in a year because you can always stack up on finding those resources, but not next week. You can't run next week's marathon if you don't have the stamina. That's a physical example. Let's talk about a business example. And feel free, actually, some of you did put in the chat earlier some of your sort of like ambitions that you had. So how are those ambitions lining up with the resources? I'm still on resources. I haven't gone to systems and structures. I'm still on resources, okay? Resources can be physical, they can be monetary, they can be intellectual, they can also be resources in terms of staff, human resources, okay? They call them human resources, okay? Like, do you have the manpower, the talent, or the people who can actually help accomplish the particular goal that you have? So resources can be really any of those. They can also be technical resources, like a computer. Okay, that's an example of a resource. It is a technical resource. It is, or maybe it could be the internet. I come from a part of the world where there are particular things which cannot, particular goals that we might have, which we actually can't accomplish there just because of simple things like there is no internet access in some of those places. And so as a result of that, no, we can't do that over there. We can do it in New York, but we can't do it in Nairobi, okay? Just because of the bandwidth. So I'm just giving examples of resources. Those are examples of resources. Systems, structures, systems and structures are really now more of speaking to the organization level of things. Like, have you organized the things, put them in place? This could be as simple as standard operating procedures or rules, okay? Like, okay, if we want to accomplish this, what are the rules which we're going to use in order to make this possible? Or what are the processes that we need to put in place? Okay, I am speaking very, right now, I'm saying systems and structures because it really varies depending upon what your goal is, but I want to get a little bit more specific. So here is an image of what a good number of us do, which is we want to get to destination X and we go to our phone, Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever type of mapping thing that we have, and we punch in the direction which we want to get there, and Google Maps maps out the route and it gets us there, okay? So we know where we want to get to, which is, let's say you want to get to North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. How do I get there? How do I drive there? Okay, so that's the goal. And so the goals are really the direction, but the systems, okay, I wanted you to see this because now I was talking about systems. The systems are the actual machinery or the engine that helps you get there, okay? So in this case, this is an example of a vehicle. The person would like to get to North Carolina. They've entered their vehicle. If that vehicle did not have an engine on the front, no matter how well the Google Maps or Apple Maps works, no matter how comfortable that vehicle or seat is, if there is no engine, meaning there are no systems or there are no structures in the front of that vehicle to actually drive the vehicle to get to North Carolina, they're never going to get there. So it's the same with our ambitions, with our goals. And I keep interchanging between ambition, goal, dreams, because it's the same principle that applies to all. Whether it's a dream you're having, whether it's an ambition, whether it's a goal, the point is, in order to get there, you need an engine to drive it, okay? So I hope that makes sense. Feel free to put in the chat if you need me to triple clarify on anything, okay? But setting your goals in such a way that it's aligned with your capability is really key for you to be able to accomplish that goal. Otherwise, to be very honest, it is a goal which maybe not now. Maybe you're not going to accomplish it now. And it's okay to be honest with yourself and instead set yourself a lower goal, which is more commensurate to your capability, okay? In this case, this is an image of completely misaligned rectangular block, trying to really force fit it into this circular hole that is there, okay? Okay, somebody has put Pauline, would deadlines for steps being taken be a part of the system? Yes. Setting deadlines for particular steps would indeed be a part of the system. A small part of the system, but definitely a part of the system. The good thing with deadlines, okay, is they keep you on your toes, you know, so that you don't just relax and think, oh, I got time. No, 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 you have accountability. It's almost like an accountability check, you know, on yourself. And accountability in and of itself is a system. You know, it is an engine. Sometimes just telling somebody else that, hey, Once a week, I want you to check in with me and see if I've done this. That in and of itself can help you accomplish your goals. So to answer your question, yes, Pauline, deadlines can be taken as being a part of the system, okay? I'm going fairly slowly because I want to make sure that you are absolutely getting it. Now, this is a very famous quote by the author of the book Atomic Habits, James Clear. It is a life-changing book for a lot of people, including my teenage son, who really had trouble being able to create systems. He's a very good dreamer. His beautiful dreams, like really great dreams, but very little follow-through in terms of how are you actually going to get there. So I bought him this book. I've never read it myself. I just heard that it was a good book. And he read it faithfully, and it literally changed his life. It literally teaches you how to create the systems. Now, I am not saying go and buy the book. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are tools to help you create systems if creating systems is not your strength, okay? But James Clear made a very powerful quote which says, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Meaning, whatever it is you're dreaming up, the reality is not the dream. The reality is the systems that you're going to put in place to be able to accomplish that goal. Okay? I just wanted you to see that very powerful goal. And this is almost a repeat of exactly, this is my version of James Clear's quote, meaning you can dream it, but if you do not have the fuel, your dreams will remain in the driveway. That's not cool, right? That's not cool. Some of our dreams do need to leave the driveway. And in order to get there, there needs to be some fuel, whether that fuel is skills, whether it's systems, whether it's technical resources, whatever it is, whether it's money. Thank you, Lexi. I appreciate that. Okay. Robert, you put something in the chat. I don't know if that was a question. If it is, you'll clarify. You put marketing problem. If it is a question, you can clarify. Okay, let's go to number 3. Mistaking busyness for progress. Okay, usually when people have a business, you know, B-U-S-I-N-E-S-S, we become so busy, and rightfully so. Every time you start a business or thinking of being in a business, especially when it's still small, everything is on your shoulders. You are the CEO, you're the CFO, you're the HR manager, you're the product manager, you're the customer service, you're the tax person, you're everything. You're the driver, you're everything at the start. And you will be genuinely busy. Okay? That's understandable. But do not think that because you are being so busy, you are actually making progress. Sometimes activity is actually not productivity. Okay? So for that, I'm introducing to you this very busy 2x2 matrix. It's a matrix, okay? Just let's go through it a little bit slowly and it'll make sense. On one axis, the x-axis, it's important, not important, okay? And then on the that is the y-axis, the vertical axis, important, not important, okay? My apologies, the vertical axis, the y-axis. Then on the x-axis, which is horizontal, urgent and not urgent are the 2 axes, okay? If you can draw this for yourself just map out the activities in your life, okay? And say, okay, this is the goal that I have. What percentage of the activities that I am involved in the past week or the past month are actually helping me get closer to the goal? This is a very helpful exercise. So when you draw these two lines, okay, important, not important, vertically, and then urgent, not urgent, horizontally, there come up 4 quadrants, okay? There are 4, meaning 4 possibilities. Let's start from the top rightmost. Okay, it's dark brown in this image right now. Those are activities which are important and they are not urgent. That's the best time to do things when they are not urgent, because you have given enough time, enough thought, you've been more strategic. That is the best time to accomplish really complex, difficult, or big things, to really contribute to long-term success. That's the best time, when it's not urgent. It's important, but it's not urgent. That's the best time. Do a lot of that, as much as you can, okay? For example, if your plan is to double your monthly sales, I'm going to use that example as like from the previous chart. If that is the big thing you'd like to accomplish, what are the things you need to start doing if you want to double your monthly sales in 2025 December, Christmas, let's say? You need to start now before it's urgent. Start now. There are things you need to start putting in place, whether it's your website being optimized, whether it's training, whether it's getting guided, whatever things you need to put in place, do them now, not when it's urgent. Okay? So that's the first and the best quadrant. We want to do most of that. A lot of the things we want to do are there. Then next to that quadrant, on the left, the yellow one, and currently it's yellow, is tasks that are urgent, they're important, and they're urgent. The only reason you're doing them is to prevent a negative outcome. Okay? Like, oh my gosh, this has happened, I need to take care of it. Otherwise, it's going to lead to trouble. Maybe it's a customer whose order did not get delivered or got damaged. Whatever it is, do it now. Maybe it's your taxes. Hello, Uncle Sam. By the way, February's session, and you'll see it later, is about taxes. Would encourage all of us, including myself, to be there. Okay. So those are for handling immediately, but that's not the ideal place to be. Those are for emergencies. Then, on the bottom left-hand quadrant, tasks that are urgent and not important. They're urgent, but they are not important. You can delegate those, okay? That's a lot of times we feel that the things are urgent, they may impact our goals, but rarely do they do. A lot of meetings fall under that. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I've been in corporate for so long that we all get it. A lot of meetings fall under that. I will say no more about that. And then the last quadrant, which is the right-hand side, the bottom, not urgent and not important. I would have asked you for examples, but I don't want to take too much time. Usually, no, you should eliminate those so you can free up your time. You alone know what is not urgent and not important. This is a very, very helpful exercise, and I've given you examples over here for you to just, if truly that is your goal, that you want to accomplish, that is the ambition, that is the thing that you'd like to do, just map out your activities for the past. You can look at your calendar, or you can, just start jotting down and seeing how you spend your time. You will be shocked and discover, oh, wow, I've set this ambition, but I'm really not setting myself up to achieve it, to accomplish it. Okay? I sure do hope this is a helpful tool for you. It's not my tool. This came from, it's years and years of time management and corporate research, to the point that it doesn't even have a source where it came from. But I've given you examples over here, and you are going to have access to this deck. Okay. All right, let me check, make sure there are no questions before or thoughts. Okay, good, none. All right, good. So busyness happens. This is my quote. Oh, puppy. Anyway, busyness happens when we focus on what it feels urgent rather than what's truly important. That's when busyness happens. Okay? Progress happens when you prioritize the right tasks. So use that tool and ask yourself, am I being busy or am I being progressive or productive? Okay? Progressive and productive are both in the same um, bracket. Okay? All right. Now, we've talked about that. So all this, can you imagine I've taken all this time just talking about the common pitfalls in the ambition trap? It's because knowing what your enemy is helps you to be stronger, plan for it when it happens. If you don't know your enemy, that's when you really put yourself in more trouble. So this, a symptom of you probably being busy and not being productive, is if you always find yourself in firefighting mode, where you're putting out a lot of fires. And what we mean by fires is they're usually emergencies. Like you're always in emergency mode, always, always, always dealing with an emergency, unless you're a firefighter or you actually work in the emergency services as a business. If that's your business, that is different. Okay. I am talking to the 99.99% of other businesses who are not in a firefighting business. Okay, we are not in the business of putting out fires. Okay, we need to be always fireproofing by doing it before it's urgent. Important and not urgent, that quadrant, that's where you want to live. For the majority of your calendar, that's where you should be if you want to be more productive versus just being busy. Okay, all right. So we've talked about the ambition trap. Now let's go to, all right, now you know your enemies, the three enemies, starting from the last, which is about mistaking business for being productive. The second one was really about aligning the resources with the goal, with the ambition, okay? And the first one was really about over-focusing on the outcome and forgetting to understand the inputs. All right, that's the ambition trap. Now that we know those are our enemies, how do we actually make these goals come to reality? All right, this is the crux of today's session. Okay, take whatever your goal is. Between ambition and achievement, there is always a gap. There is always some work that you're going to have to do. There's always something that it's always that it never rarely is that ambition and achieving that ambition do not require some version of work of some sort. Okay, so if your ambition is to win in something like this gentleman here, or you have a particular goal or a particular target, just so that you do not fall flat or fall through that cliff as it shows in this picture. So in this picture, basically, as you can see, there is on the one there, it's a cliff side between ambition and achievement, and then there's a deep crevice between them. So how do you go from ambition to achievement? Well, that's what we're talking about. We are calling it the business goals engine. I told you I like a lot of frameworks. I frame almost everything. Once something works for me, for my clients, I usually turn it into, okay, this will be a helpful framework. So a helpful framework for accomplishing goals, and I gave it a very cheesy name, business goals engine. Isn't that cheesy? But nice. Okay, so let's talk about the business goals engine, meaning the same way the car has an engine to drive the vehicle to get to where it needs to go. This is an engine for getting your business goals from ambition to the point of achievement, okay? There are six steps, and we're going to go through each. They are not long, they are not lengthy. I'm just checking to make sure. Oh God, I think I am running a little low on time, so I need to speed it up a little bit. My apologies, NDI team. I am going to speed it up a little bit more. So we start at the very top, okay? Define the goal. Define what the goal is. Define it as clearly as you can, and we are going to go there. Once you've defined it, we're then going to prioritize. Based upon this goal, this is where we're going to focus our energy, and I'm going to give you examples. Right now, I'm just reading through what is here. Then we're going to clarify, okay, if this is where we choose to focus, this is how we're going to succeed. And then after we clarify how we're going to succeed, then we're going to define, okay, this is what is needed, whether those are inputs in order to get us there or resources. And then number 5 is something we usually forget. How do you know it's actually working? You do not want to get to the middle of the year and you're like, whoa, I'm actually not this, I'm busy. It's work, you know, there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of planning which went in, but how do we actually know that we are succeeding, you know? And then finally, it's, so that's like a measurement system. And then finally putting it into action, okay? So, and you are going to have access to these slides. The first 2 are what I call the strategy layer. It's really about you sitting to strategize and to really plan. The next 3, the bulk of it always is the operations. Operationalizing it is always the bulk of it. And then the final is just the actual execution, okay? So the operation builds the how, and then the execution is you actually doing it, okay? So let's go into each. Number 1, you're going to define what success looks like, okay? You're not just going to say, this is my goal, but you're actually going to, as best as you can, be as descriptive as you can and say, okay, for example, if I am to pick that initial example of, and anybody can give me an example of their a goal which they would like me to double click on if they would like. But in the meantime, I'm just using my my generic examples. If your goal is really to double your monthly sales, if that is your goal, okay, be a bit more descriptive and really say, okay, what does it mean when I've doubled my monthly sales? And what do I mean by monthly? Do I want to double my monthly sales in all my products, some of my products, one of my products? Do I want to double my monthly sales in maybe my online customers versus offline? Like, try and be a lot more descriptive. Try and be a lot more granular. Try and understand what success looks like to your business. Okay, so if we've doubled our monthly goals, what does that look like? It might mean more money, but it might also mean more expenses. Okay, so understanding what that actually means helps you to define a goal that is not just realistic, but that you actually want. Like, do you actually want this goal? Because that goal is going to be sort of like the fuel, the aspiration. It's going to fuel your, you know, every time you feel down or every time you feel like you don't have energy, it's going to give you energy. It's going to make you go like, wow, oh, I can't wait to get to that place where, you know, whatever that goal is, okay? So that goal has to be worthy of your energy and your motivation. It's got to be worthy of making you wake up in the morning and want to just throw the sheets off. Not go like, oh God, I gotta go accomplish this goal again. And then you just go like, damn. Okay? I know I'm being a little melodramatic. Apologies. That is me. I'm from Africa. We're a bit melodramatic. But I cannot stress how important this is. If the goal does not energize you, it'll probably not be worth your energy, your motivation, your time. Okay? So define the goal is step 1, knowing what the aspiration is, because that is the equivalent of setting the GPS direction for the whole vehicle. Once you've done that, okay, you've defined it. Now you actually say, this is actually now where you get a little bit more niche and you say, okay, I know I want to double my sales, right? But usually saying yes to something means saying no to something else. Okay, that's the principle of life. Saying yes to something usually means you're saying no to some things. So we're very good at defining what we want. We're not so good at clarifying what that means in terms of what we're saying no to. Okay, so as it says over here, I'm not going to read it exactly as it is, but really prioritizing your exact focus. Prioritizing does not mean you do not do the others. It just means, given a choice, you should be spending maybe 70% more here versus just 30% there. That's what prioritizing means. Okay, prioritizing does not mean stop everything else, only do this one thing. No. Okay, once you've done that, you then clarify exactly how you're going to be able to do it. What's the method that's going to get you there? Okay, in the case of doubling your monthly sales, that could be, okay, you know what, I need to write more content. And I keep going back to that example because I do not believe anybody has given me a more interesting example. So I will keep wrapping on that one, okay? What is the formula which is going to get you there, okay? For example, in our example of the paella, right? You know you want the paella. Okay, how are you going to get there? You need to cook it. Okay. You get what I'm saying? Like, you start to understand there are steps which you need to do. There's the what you want to do, but now this is the how, okay? And most importantly, be very honest with yourself and ask yourself, can I actually deliver on this? Okay, is it actionable? Okay, do I actually have the resources to be able to enable me to actually get there? Okay, and then this is where you now really, and all these steps, you can sit down with a pen and a paper, or you can sit down with a voice note, whatever it is, whatever way you prefer to plan, but these are things for you to think through. Okay, what would have to be true? These are like the ingredients. If I want the paella, that means I need rice, for sure. There's no paella without rice. I am almost 99% certain of that, unless someone just invented a riceless paella. Okay, and what gaps do I need to proactively address? Meaning it's not going to fall naturally from the sky. I need to actually do something. In this case, exactly what we talked about, putting in place the tools or the resources or the systems to actually bring it to fruition. Okay, and then how will you measure progress? This is step 5 of the business goals engine. How will you know it's working? How will you actually know? In the example, the generic example of doubling your monthly sales, how will you know it's working? That's a fairly easy thing to measure in terms of, you can see if your sales are going up. Did it go up? Is it going up 1% each month? Is it going up 1% each week? Is it going up 10%? Like, whatever that is, that should tell you whether you are directionally doing the right things, or if it's flat, or worse, if it's just going in the wrong direction. That's your signal to stop and either change the goal, go back through, take it back from the top, take it back from step 1, change the goal, or change the tactics. Okay, you should all constantly be checking. And then finally, actually put it into action. Like, if there are no actual actions behind the goal, then it will just be a dream. It'll remain just as an ambition or a goal or a dream. So clarifying exactly who is going to do what and when they're going to do it and how they're going to do it, the more you can, whether it's document, whether it's a written document, or whether it is spoken, meaning you actually meet and you've actually talked about it, even if you're a solopreneur. Listen, I'm a solopreneur. I talk to myself a lot. I record myself a lot on my phone so that I can listen back and say, oh, this is what I wanted to do. But I also do my best to be a part of a small circle of peers who can keep me honest. Okay, that's usually helpful. It's not easy if you're just you and you are alone. There's always a peer who you can connect with. So all these 6 form, my apologies, I'm going to click back to this slide. All these 6 form the business goals engine. So if you do all these 6, whatever your goal is, you should be able to bring it to fruition. And if the goal is wrong, somewhere around how you will know it's working, step 5, you'll go like, this ain't working. It'll make you go back and to redefine a new goal, such that you'll find yourself making more goals that you can accomplish versus those that you can't, okay?